Okay, so we're going to look at simultaneous equations today, but more looking at when one equation is a quadratic. So having a look at these two graphs, one is a quadratic and one is a linear graph. To solve them graphically, it's where the two coordinates meet. So the two solutions would be, well, let's say one is here. So one solution would be when x equals -1 and y equals 2. And then the other solution over here is when x equals 2 and y equals 5. So those would be the two solutions. We're going to have a look at how to solve these algebraically. Often, but not always, the equations will be written y equals for both. When that happens, the easiest way to solve these is to equal the two equations to each other and then solve how you would solve a quadratic normally. So get everything to the left hand side. So we're going to minus that x, and then we're going to take off the 3. And then that's going to equal 0. From here, you would try and solve that. Now you've got 3 ways to solve. Factorise it if it will and solve. If you can't factorise it, you could use a quadratic equation, or you could complete the square to solve. Always look to see if you can factorise, and normally you can factorise these types of solving quadratics. So two numbers that times together to give -2 and add together to give -1. Well, we're going to be looking at a -2 and a +1 for your two solutions. They work. So that means your two solutions for x must be when x equals 2, or you have another solution when x equals -1. Now that's only the x's. Now you need to find the y. Now what is nice with most of these is one of the equations will give you what y equals. So you just substitute in your x value to find y. So for this one, we want to find y. The first value of x we're using is 2. So 2 plus 3 equals 5. So when x equals 2, y equals 5. And if we now repeat that, but this time substituting in when x is -1, we can then find the other y. -1 add 3, that's going to get us 2. And there we have our solutions. Let's look at this one. Again, they're both in the format of y equals. Fairly straightforward. All we need to do is to equal the two equations to each other. They both equal y, therefore they must both equal each other. So just equal them to each other. Then move everything to the left hand side. So I'm going to minus the x. 3x minus x gets me 2x's. -7, and then I'm going to do the opposite of the takeaway 4 there. I'm going to add 4, and that gets me a -3 and equal that to 0. Now factorise the left hand side, equaling it to 0. So two numbers that multiply to give -3 and add to give 2, that must be 3 take away 1. So your two solutions are when x equals -3 or when x equals 1. We can now use this equation here to find y. So y is going to be our first x value, which is -3, take away 4, that gets us -7. And then we're going to run through that again, but this time when x equals 1, 1 take away 4 gets us -3. And those are our two solutions. You can have a go at these three if you wish. I'm going to move on to some other equations now. Have a go at this one, which is a lot more complicated. So we know the top equation there is the equation of a circle. with a radius of √10. And we have a linear graph for the second equation. For this one, what we want to do is to substitute in y equals 1 negative x into here. That's going to look a little bit like this. X squared plus 1 minus x squared equals 10. So we're going to need to expand that bracket out. So I'm just going to expand that to the side. So 1 minus x, you can probably just do that in your head, but I will go through the method anyway. So 1 times 1, which is 1. 1 times negative x is negative x. Negative x times 1 is negative x. Negative x times negative x is a positive x squared. So let's pop that back in. We have x squared. I'm going to do it in order of the x powers. So x squared, this is going to give you minus 2x, add 1 equals 10. Now to solve this, we need to combine those x squared. So it's going to give you 2x squared minus 2x, take away 10, gets you minus 9 equals 0. Now for this one, two numbers that multiply to give minus 9 and two lots of one of them add the other to give negative 2. This is not going to factorize. So for this one, we're going to use our quadratic formula. So we're going to use our quadratic formula. So that's going to be minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So that's going to look a bit like this. Minus minus 2 is going to be 2. So 2 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 2 times minus 2, which is going to be 4, minus 4 lots of 2 times negative 9 all over 2 times 2, which is 4. Now I'm using my fraction key on my calculator, and I'm just going to put that all through and get my two values of x. So our first value of x is 2.679, and my second value of x is negative 1.679. What I now need to do is to feed through my x value to get y. So I need to do y equals 1 minus 2.679, and that gets me minus 1.679. And then I need to feed through my other value of x, which is going to be 1 minus minus minus, so it'll be a plus 1 minus just double checking my answers here. 1 minus, yeah, that would be a plus, won't it? Sorry, I just made a mistake on my calculations here. So it'll be 1 plus 1.679. So that's going to get me a value of 2.679. I think I've made a mistake any of my calculations, please do let me know. So that gives me final values of when x equals 2.679, then y equals negative 1.679, and when x equals negative 1.679, y equals 2.679. Okay, let's have a go at another one. I was going to end the video there and do another video. For some reason it's not going on to the next slide. So I'll do some more examples in the next video.